reading from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 24, verses 13 to 35. On the road to Emmaus. Now that same day, 2 of them were going to a village called Emmaus, about 7 miles from Jerusalem. They were talking with each other about everything that had happened. As they talked and discussed these things with each other, Jesus himself came up and walked along with them. But they were kept from recognizing him. He asked them, "What are you discussing together as you walk along?" They stood still, their faces downcast. One of them, named Cleopas, asked him, "Are you the only one visiting Jerusalem who does not know the things that have happened there in these days?" "What things?" he asked. "About Jesus of Nazareth," they replied. "He was a prophet, powerful in word and deed, before God and all people. The chief priests and their rulers handed him over to be sentenced to death, and they crucified him. But we had hoped that he was the one who was going to redeem Israel. And what is more, it is the 3rd day since all this took place. In addition, some of our women amazed us. They went to the tomb early this morning, but didn't find his body. They came and told us that they had seen a vision of angels who said he was alive." Then some of our companions went to the tomb, found it just as the woman had said, but they did not see Jesus. He said to them, "How foolish you are, and how slow to believe all the prophets had spoken. Did not the Messiah have to suffer these things and then enter his glory?" And beginning with Moses and all the prophets, he explained to them what was said in all the scriptures concerning himself. As they approached the village to which they were going, Jesus continued on as if he were going further. But they urged him strongly, "Stay with us, for it is nearly evening. The day is almost over." So he went in to stay with them. When he was at the table with them, he took bread, gave thanks, broke it, and began to give it to them. Then their eyes were opened, and they recognized him, and he disappeared from their sight. They asked each other, "Were not our hearts burning within us while he talked with us on the road and opened the scriptures to us?" They got up and returned at once to Jerusalem. They found the 11 and those with them assembled together and saying, "It's true, the Lord has risen and has appeared to Simon." Then they too told what had happened on the way and how Jesus was recognized by them when he broke the bread. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.
Thank you, Yvonne. I found that it was good for my humility when my son, who is now 26 but was just 16 at the time, took great pleasure in teaching his dad a new word. a proper word, not a rude word, but a proper grown-up word. And I was proofreading an essay that he'd written, and it included the word ephemeral. Not a word I particularly use on a daily basis. I sort of knew vaguely the meaning of, but I wasn't quite sure. Ephemeral, I asked him, what's that mean? Of course, he'd found it in the thesaurus, as we all do when we're trying to look good, and he'd sort of slotted it into his essay to impress. But I was impressed because he'd remembered. Ephemeral day, he says, only there for a short time. Fleeting. Well done, lad. I said, well done. I was impressed. I did have to point out that I did think that his English teacher would realise that he'd looked that up in a book rather than naturally knew it, because it wasn't a word that we would use much around the dinner table. But it's a good word, ephemeral, meaning short-lived and fleeting. And if you really like words, it comes from a Greek word, ephemeros, which means lasting just a day. Just a day. We say that the best things in life are free, they often are, but it's sometimes also true that the best things in life are the things that aren't always there, but which come and visit us for a short time and then are gone again. Like the rare sighting of a kingfisher, perhaps. Things that are fleeting, ephemeral. Take the resurrection appearances of Jesus as another example. Very brief encounters, fleeting appearances, moments in time, short conversations, but they were somehow enough. And take today's reading, the road to Emmaus. A decent conversation between these three men, an insightful conversation for the two travellers walking with their heads hung low in sadness and despondency. Insightful, and yet the penny didn't drop until Jesus takes bread and breaks it. Eyes opened, and he's gone. He's gone. A rush of excitement, though, a rush of excitement. Were not our hearts burning within us while he talked with us on the road and opened the scriptures? Then they got up at once, returned to Jerusalem, and they said, he is alive. Lives were changed because of these fleeting moments. A moment when eyes were literally opened, but also the eyes of the heart, the soul, total awareness, just for a few moments. But then, of course, afterwards, lives that had to carry on without that fullness of vision. The fleeting moment, however, meant that something had to change. Life could never be the same again. Something had to be done. There was a story to share. However much I love Easter, the reality of the miracle of Easter for me, I think, that moment of pure Easter joy that we are invited to experience, for me at least, if I'm honest, has only ever been a very brief, passing moment. It definitely and always happens every year, and I'm always grateful for it, but it's pretty short-lived for me. Sometimes on Easter morning you just think, the birds are singing louder today. I'm sure they are. You just know there's something in the air, a whiff of the sacred. Something has changed. Something feels different. You can't put your finger on it. It might be during the singing of an Easter hymn, or while listening to a piece of music. But then it goes, undeniably there, but then it goes, like the sighting of that kingfisher. This year for me, it was a piece of music I was listening to. I was walking the dog first thing in the morning, about 5:30. Suddenly, this piece of music just triggered something. My eyes felt a bit watery, and I just knew Jesus was alive for about 10 seconds. And then it went. And I wonder how you experience the miracle of Easter. How you have experienced that in the past, how you experience it this year. For you, it might be more than a fleeting thing, and that's great. Or it might be just that, brief. And if it is brief, take heart, be grateful for it, and remember that's exactly how it was for the first followers of Jesus. And look what happened because of them, because of those brief, fleeting moments of wonder that they had. It doesn't mean it's any the less important or meaningful or powerful for its brevity. In fact, I think it puts us in touch more with Paul's very clear words in 2 Corinthians, we walk by faith, not by sight. Every day, faith, not sight. And in 1 Corinthians, now we see through a glass darkly. We see just enough to keep us at it, to keep us going. A foretaste of a wonder and a glory that one day will be far from fleeting. Here in our communion service today, there is an invitation to eat and to drink gifts which are also in their own way fleeting and short-lived. Here one moment, gone the next. God's love for us and his life in us made real to us for these few moments in bread and in wine. An opportunity to pray that our eyes would be opened at the breaking of bread as well. An opportunity for faith to be renewed and stirred in us. But then our service of communion will be over, and we will be sent out. Send us out, we will pray, in the power of your Spirit. We cannot stay here. Will be no use to anyone if we stay here. Where there is a whiff of resurrection around, it is there to send us out, to take us out, beyond the walls of this place or any place, to be channels of his new life, to wherever we go from this place today, to whoever we meet, witnesses of his resurrection, because the baton has been passed from the first friends of Jesus through the ages and on to us. A story to tell, and a good news not just to tell but to live, and to live into life with others. That Jesus is alive, and may I respectfully say, alive and kicking. Because he's not just alive, he is alive and active in and through us, in a world which needs to know some good news. Amen.